The council room fell silent when Administrator Vexnell displayed the numbers on the holographic screen. Every representative from the 12-member species of the Galactic Trade Coalition stared at the data with expressions ranging from disbelief to outright shock. "These numbers cannot be correct," said Delegate Korik, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly in the way his species did when confused. "You are telling us that ships with human crew members have survival rates 300% higher than ships without them." "The data does not lie," Vexnell replied. His gray skin was pale even by the standards of his kind, and his thin fingers trembled slightly as he manipulated the display. "We have studied over 10,000 incidents across the past 5 solar cycles. Ships that carry at least 1 human crew member survive catastrophic events at rates that should be impossible." The room erupted into noise. Representatives argued with each other and demanded explanations. Some called the study flawed. Others suggested that humans had somehow manipulated the data. But captain of the merchant vessel Starward Dream knew the truth. She had seen it with her own eyes. 6 months ago, her ship had been a typical trading vessel. Her crew of 20 included species from 8 different worlds. They were skilled workers who followed protocols and maintained their equipment properly. They were, by all measures, an excellent crew. Then the human arrived. Marcus Chen was not impressive to look at. He was of average height for a human, with dark hair that he kept short and brown eyes that always seemed to be studying everything around him. He had applied for the position of maintenance engineer, and his qualifications were adequate but not exceptional. Thelvos had hired him because human crew members were becoming fashionable among the merchant fleet. She had heard stories about their usefulness, though she had dismissed most of them as exaggeration. The first time Marcus saved the ship, they were 3 days out from the mining colony on Vexar 7. The port engine had developed a small fluctuation in its power output. The ship's computer had flagged it as a minor issue, one that could be addressed at their next scheduled maintenance stop. Marcus had disagreed. "Captain," he had said, standing in the doorway of her office with a datapad clutched in his hands, "I need to shut down the port engine for inspection." "The computer shows only a minor fluctuation," she had replied. "We are on schedule. We cannot afford delays." "Ma'am, I have a bad feeling about this." A bad feeling. That was what he had said, not a technical analysis, not a detailed breakdown of the potential risks, just a bad feeling. Against her better judgment, Thelvos had allowed the inspection. What Marcus found had made her blood run cold. A microfracture in the coolant line, invisible to the ship's sensors but growing larger with each minute of operation. If they had continued at full power for another 6 hours, the engine would have exploded. At their current speed and distance from any port, the damage would have been fatal for everyone aboard. "How did you know?" she had asked him, watching as he carefully sealed the fracture with emergency repair compound. Marcus had shrugged. The sound was wrong. The engine had a slight vibration that it didn't have before. It felt off. Felt off. The human had detected a problem that the ship's advanced sensors had missed because he had felt something was wrong. That was only the beginning. Over the following months, Marcus saved the ship and crew in ways that Thelvos still could not fully understand. When pirates attacked near the Forgotten Nebula, it was Marcus who had suggested hiding in the radiation field that everyone else considered too dangerous. "The radiation will mess up their targeting systems more than ours," he had explained. "And humans can take more radiation than most species. I can handle the navigation while the rest of you stay in the shielded sections." He had been right. The pirates had lost track of them within minutes, and Marcus had guided the ship to safety with nothing more than his own eyes and instincts. When the cargo hold caught fire during a routine delivery, it was Marcus who had refused to follow the standard protocol of sealing the section and venting it to space. "There might be people in there," he had said, already pulling on a fire suppression suit. "I'm going to check." "The sensors show no life signs," the first officer had protested. Sensors can be wrong. And Marcus had gone anyway. He had found two of their crew members unconscious from smoke inhalation, hidden behind a stack of containers where the sensors could not detect them. He had carried them both to safety, one under each arm, even as the flames licked at his suit. When the medical officer had examined him afterward, she had found burns on his hands and arms that would have incapacitated most other species. Marcus had simply shrugged and asked when he could return to duty. Humans are insane, the medical officer had told Thelvos privately. Their bodies can take damage that would kill any of us, and they simply continue functioning. They have something called shock that allows them to ignore pain and injury in crisis situations. It is like they were designed for disaster. Now sitting in the council chamber and listening to the delegates argue about the impossible statistics, Thelvos finally understood. Humans were not designed for disaster. They were designed by disaster. Their homeworld, Earth, was a planet of constant catastrophe. Earthquakes, hurricanes, floods, droughts, ice ages, and mass extinctions. The humans had survived them all. More than survived, they had thrived. The question before this council, Administrator Vexnell continued, raising his voice above the noise, is what we do with this information. The shipping guilds are already demanding that we mandate human crew members on all commercial vessels. Insurance companies are offering significant discounts to ships that carry humans. This is no longer just a curiosity. It is a major economic and safety issue. But there are so few humans, Delegate Emrix pointed out. Her wings rustled with agitation. Earth has only 8 billion of them, and most show no interest in leaving their homeworld. How can we possibly crew the entire galactic merchant fleet with human crew members? That is precisely the problem, Vexnell agreed. Human crew members are becoming the most valuable commodity in the galaxy, and the humans themselves are becoming aware of their worth. Marcus Chen was not thinking about galactic economics when he woke up that morning. He was thinking about breakfast. The Starward Dream had excellent food for a merchant vessel, but the cook was a Velkari who did not understand human taste preferences. Marcus had learned to adapt, but some mornings he really missed scrambled eggs and bacon. He rolled out of his bunk and went through his morning routine. Shower, shave, dress in his work uniform. The face that looked back at him from the mirror was ordinary enough. 32 years old, the beginning of lines around his eyes from squinting at engine readouts, a small scar on his chin from a childhood accident. Nothing special, just Marcus. He made his way to the common area where several of his crewmates were already eating. Trix, the Velkari cook, had prepared something that looked like purple oatmeal. Marcus took a bowl and sat down next to Kelmer, the first officer. "Morning," Marcus said. Kelmer made the clicking sound that his species used as a greeting. "You are aware that the captain wishes to speak with you." "About what?" She did not say, but she seemed concerned. Marcus finished his breakfast quickly and made his way to the captain's office. Thelvos was waiting for him, her 4 eyes focused on a holographic display that she quickly minimized when he entered. "Marcus, please sit down." He sat. The captain's expression was difficult to read. Her species communicated emotion through subtle color changes in their skin as much as through facial expression, and today her normally blue-gray skin had a slight purple tinge that he had come to associate with worry. "Is something wrong?" he asked. "That depends on your perspective." Thelvos pushed a datapad across the desk. "I received a message this morning. 4 different shipping companies want to hire you away from us. They are offering salaries that I cannot match." Marcus looked at the numbers on the datapad. His eyebrows rose. "That's a lot of money." "It is, and it will only increase." Apparently there was a major presentation at the Galactic Trade Coalition yesterday. Human crew members are now officially recognized as a major safety factor. Everyone wants one. Because of the survival rate thing. Thelvos nodded. 300% improvement. I have seen it myself, Marcus. You have saved this ship and crew more times than I can count. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. I just do my job. No, you do more than that. You go beyond what is required, what is safe, what is logical. You take risks that no other species would take. You solve problems in ways that no one else would think of. You are valuable, Marcus. More valuable than you know. He was quiet for a moment. Are you asking me to leave? No, Thelvos made a sound that was half laugh, half sigh. I am asking you to stay. I cannot match those salaries, but I can offer you a partnership. 10% of the ship's profits, a voice in where we go and what we carry, and my personal guarantee that you will always have a place here. Marcus looked at her. In his time aboard the Starward Dream, he had come to respect this alien captain. She was fair, intelligent, and she cared about her crew. Those qualities were not common in the merchant fleet. Can I think about it? He asked. Of course, take all the time you need. But Marcus, I want you to know something. Whatever you decide, I am grateful for what you have done for this ship, for all of us. He left the captain's office with a lot on his mind. Partnership in a starship was not something he had ever imagined. When he had left Earth 2 years ago, he had been running away from a failed business and a broken relationship. Space had seemed like a good place to start over. He had not expected to become valuable. His thoughts were interrupted by an alarm. The sound cut through the ship like a blade. Emergency stations. All hands. Marcus did not need to be told twice. He was running before the second alarm sounded. The bridge was chaos when he arrived. Crew members rushed to their stations. Holographic displays flashed with warnings. Captain Thelvos stood at the center of it all, barking orders. Report, she demanded. Unknown vessel approaching, Kelmer responded. No identification. They are not responding to hails. Pirates? Almost certainly. Marcus moved to his station, the engineering console. He pulled up the ship's systems on his display and began running through their options. The Starward Dream was not a combat vessel. They had basic defensive shields and a single plasma cannon that was more for show than actual use. Against real pirates, they would not last long. They are charging weapons, the sensor officer announced. Her voice was steady, but her scales had gone pale with fear. All crew to emergency positions, Thelvos ordered. Prepare to abandon ship if necessary. Marcus stared at his display. There had to be something. Some trick, some option that no one else had considered. His mind raced through possibilities, discarding each one almost as fast as it formed. Then he saw it. Captain, he said, how close are we to the asteroid field? The Kresh Belt, about 40 minutes at current speed. Why? That's where we need to go. That is suicide, Kelmer protested. The Kresh Belt is one of the most dangerous navigation hazards in this sector. Ships have been lost there. Ships without me, Marcus replied. He did not mean it to sound arrogant, it was simply a fact. Captain, I can navigate us through. The pirates won't follow. Thelvos looked at him for a long moment. He could see the calculation in her eyes, the risk against the certain death that awaited them if they did nothing. Do it, she said. The Starward Dream turned toward the asteroid field. Behind them, the pirate vessel followed. The Kresh Belt was everything the stories claimed and worse. Billions of asteroids, ranging from pebbles to mountains, tumbled through space in chaotic patterns. The remains of a moon that had been destroyed in some ancient catastrophe, the debris still orbited the local star in a vast ring of death. Most ships avoided the Kresh Belt entirely. Those that had to pass through used established lanes, carefully mapped corridors where the asteroids were sparse enough to navigate safely. But those lanes were too slow. By the time they reached the far side, the pirates would have caught them. Marcus was not planning to use the lanes. Transfer helm control to engineering station, he said. The helm officer looked at the captain. Thelvos nodded. A moment later, Marcus had full control of the ship's movement. He took a deep breath and let it out slowly. Then he began to move. The ship dove into the asteroid field like a swimmer diving into rough water. Marcus's hands danced across the controls, making tiny adjustments every second. He was not thinking anymore, not in the conventional sense. He was feeling. The movement of the asteroids around them, the flow of debris, the invisible currents of destruction. "Asteroid on collision course port side," someone shouted. Marcus had already seen it. He rolled the ship to starboard, slipping past the tumbling rock with meters to spare. Another asteroid loomed ahead, and he dove beneath it, using its mass to shield them from a cluster of smaller debris. Behind them, the pirate ship hesitated at the edge of the field. Then, incredibly, they followed. "They are pursuing," Kelmer reported. "Their captain must be insane." "Or desperate," Thelvos murmured. "We must be carrying something more valuable than we know." Marcus did not have time to wonder what that might be. All of his attention was focused on the dance of destruction around them. He could feel the ship responding to his commands, almost like an extension of his own body. Here was the skill that humans rarely talked about but all possessed. The ability to merge with their machines, to become one with their tools in moments of crisis. A massive asteroid appeared directly ahead, too large to avoid. Marcus did not try. Instead, he accelerated toward it, heading for a narrow canyon that split its surface. "Marcus, that gap is not wide enough," Thelvos protested. "It will be." He tilted the ship 90 degrees, presenting its narrow profile to the canyon walls. They shot through the gap with centimeters of clearance on either side. Rocks scraped against the hull with a sound like thunder. Then they were through, emerging on the other side in a relatively clear pocket of space. Behind them, the pirate ship was not so lucky. They had tried to follow through the canyon, but their ship was larger and their pilot less skilled. An outcropping caught their port wing, sending them into a spin. They clipped another asteroid, then another. The last glimpse Marcus had of them was their ship careening into a mountain-sized rock, erupting in a ball of flame. The bridge was silent. "Continue navigation," Thelvos said quietly. "Get us out of here." Marcus nodded and turned his attention back to the asteroids. The danger was not over yet, but the hardest part was done. 20 minutes later, they emerged from the far side of the Kresh belt, battered but intact. The cheer that went up from the crew was deafening. Marcus slumped in his chair, suddenly exhausted. His hands were shaking and his shirt was soaked with sweat. Now that the crisis was over, his body was reminding him of the price of such intense concentration. "That," Kelmer said, "was the most terrifying and amazing thing I have ever seen." "Agreed," Thelvos said. She walked over to Marcus and placed one of her long-fingered hands on his shoulder. "You have saved us again, Marcus. How do you do it?" He thought about the question for a long moment. "I don't know exactly. It's like everything slows down when things get dangerous. I can see patterns that I can't see at other times. It's hard to explain." "The human survival response," the medical officer said. She had come to the bridge during the crisis. "I have read about it. Your species has an unusually developed stress response system. When threatened, your brains release chemicals that enhance perception, strength, and reaction speed. You call it adrenaline, I believe." "But other species have stress responses too," Kelmer pointed out. "Yes, but not like humans. Most species either freeze or panic under extreme stress. Humans become more capable. It is a remarkable adaptation. And combined with their endurance, their creativity, and their willingness to take risks, it makes them ideal for crisis situations." Marcus listened to them talk about him like he was a specimen in a laboratory. It was strange to hear his basic human nature described as something special. On Earth, everyone was like this. You dealt with problems as they came. You survived. That was just what you did. But out here, among the stars, He was beginning to understand that what was normal for humans was extraordinary for everyone else. "Captain," the censor officer said, "I have completed analysis of the cargo manifest the pirates transmitted before their destruction. I know why they were so determined to catch us." "Go on." "They believed we were carrying a shipment of rare minerals from Vexar 7. Specifically, quantum crystals worth approximately 50 million credits." Thelvos's skin turned pale. "Are we?" "No, Captain. Our cargo manifest shows only standard trade goods. Either the pirates had bad information or someone wanted them to attack us." A chill ran through the bridge. Being attacked by pirates was bad enough, but being set up for attack was something else entirely. It meant someone wanted them dead. "Set course for Nexus Station," Thelvos ordered. "Best speed. It seems we have more to worry about than pirates." Marcus watched as the stars streaked past the viewports. He had signed on to the Starward Dream looking for a quiet life. It appeared that quiet was not in his future. But strangely, he found that he did not mind. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he would face them. It was what humans did. Nexus Station was the largest trading hub in the sector, a massive structure that orbited a gas giant and served as a crossroads for hundreds of different species. Ships came and went constantly, and the station's population numbered in the millions. The Starward Dream docked at one of the commercial bays, and Thelvos immediately requested a meeting with station security. What she learned was disturbing. "You are not the first ship to be targeted," the security chief told them. He was a massive Korthax, nearly 3 meters tall, with thick gray hide and small, intelligent eyes. "In the past month, we have had 7 reports of pirate attacks on ships carrying human crew members. All of the attacks were well planned. All of them targeted specific vessels." "Someone is hunting humans," Marcus said. "It appears so." The security chief pulled up a holographic display. "We have traced the information leaks to a consortium of shipping companies. Companies that do not have access to human crew members and whose survival rates have suffered as a result." Thelvos made a sound of disgust. "They are killing humans to level the playing field." "We believe so. The Galactic Trade Coalition's report on human survival rates has caused significant economic disruption. Ships with human crew members are commanding premium rates. Insurance companies are adjusting their policies. Entire shipping routes are being rearranged to favor vessels that carry humans. And some people would rather kill than compete," Marcus said quietly. "Unfortunately, yes." The security chief leaned forward. "We are doing everything we can to stop these attacks, but I must warn you, until this conspiracy is broken, every ship with a human crew member is at risk. You might consider returning to Earth until the situation is resolved." Marcus shook his head. "If I leave, they win, and this crew has become my family. I'm not abandoning them." The security chief studied him for a long moment. "You are either very brave or very foolish." "Probably both. It's a human thing." They returned to the ship with heavy hearts. The crew gathered in the common area to hear what they had learned, and the mood was grim. "This changes things," Kelmer said. "If they are specifically hunting Marcus, every journey we take puts him at risk, puts all of us at risk." "We could hide his presence," someone suggested. "Remove him from the crew manifest, make it look like we have no human aboard." "That would be deception," Thelvos said, "and it would only work until the first inspection. Besides, our survival rate would drop. The whole point of having Marcus is that he keeps us alive." "Then we fight," Trix the cook said. Everyone turned to look at the small, purple-scaled being. It was perhaps the first time anyone had heard Trix speak about anything other than food. "We do not run. We do not hide. We fight." "We are not a warship," Kelmer pointed out. "No, but we have Marcus." Trix looked at the human with something like admiration. "He saved us in the Kresh Belt. He saves us every time. Maybe it is time we learned from him." Marcus felt uncomfortable with everyone looking at him. "I'm not a teacher, I just do what feels right." "Then teach us what feels right," Thelvo said. "Teach us to think like humans, to react like humans, to survive like humans." It was a strange request, and Marcus was not sure it was possible. Could he really teach aliens to think like his species? But looking at the faces around him, he saw hope and fear and determination. These people were willing to try something new to survive. How could he refuse them? "Okay," he said, "I'll try." Over the following weeks, the Starward Dream became a school. Marcus taught his crewmates everything he could think of about human survival instincts, how to trust your gut feelings, how to improvise when plans failed, how to stay calm under pressure, how to push through pain and fear. Some lessons were easier than others. The crew quickly learned to pay attention to small details that sensors might miss. They practiced responding to emergencies without waiting for orders. They learned to think creatively about problems instead of following protocols blindly. Other lessons were harder. No matter how much they practiced, most of the crew could not replicate the human ability to function under extreme stress. Their bodies were not designed for it. But they learned to recognize the signs in Marcus, to trust his instincts when their own failed them. "The key is working together," Marcus explained during one of their sessions. "Humans survived on Earth because we cooperated. We pooled our strengths and covered each other's weaknesses. That's what we need to do here." The crew took his words to heart. They began operating as a true team, anticipating each other's needs and supporting each other's efforts. The ship ran more smoothly than ever before, and when the next attack came, they were ready. It happened 3 weeks after they left Nexus Station. 2 ships this time, emerging from hyperspace directly ahead of them. Professional pirates, well-armed and well-organized. "They are demanding we surrender the human," the communications officer reported. "They say if we hand him over, they will let the rest of us go." "Tell them," Thelvo said, her skin flushing deep purple with anger, "that they can go to whatever hell their species believes in. Marcus is one of us, and we protect our own." The battle that followed was chaos. The 2 pirate ships were faster and better armed than the Starward Dream, but the crew of the merchant vessel fought like demons. They used every trick Marcus had taught them. They thought creatively. They improvised. They refused to give up. And when things looked darkest, when one of the pirate ships had locked onto them with a tractor beam and was preparing to board, it was not Marcus who saved them. It was Trix. The little cook had made her way to the cargo bay and manually overloaded the emergency food storage units. When the pirates breached the hull, they were met with an explosion of superheated cooking gases that killed half of them instantly and sent the rest running. "That was not in any protocol," Kelmer said afterward, staring at the carnage. Trix shrugged, a gesture she had learned from Marcus. It felt right. Word spread through the merchant fleet. The Starward Dream had not just survived another attack. They had won. A merchant vessel had defeated 2 pirate ships using nothing but creativity, teamwork, and human-style thinking. Other ships began to take notice. Captains sent messages asking for advice. Crew members requested transfers to the Starward Dream just to learn from them. Within months, what Marcus had taught his crew was spreading throughout the fleet. The conspiracy targeting human crew members began to fall apart. With more ships adopting human survival techniques, the advantage of having an actual human aboard became less dramatic. The desperate shipping companies that had been behind the attacks found themselves losing ground anyway. One by one, they were exposed and brought to justice. A year after the attack, Captain Thelvos was invited to speak before the Galactic Trade Coalition. Marcus went with her, along with the entire crew of the Starward Dream. The council chamber was full. Representatives from every member species sat in their designated sections, and the gallery was packed with observers. Holographic cameras broadcast the proceedings to trillions of viewers across the galaxy. 1 year ago, Thelvos began, this council released a report showing that ships with human crew members had survival rates 300% higher than ships without them. That report caused chaos, economic disruption, violence, murder. She paused to let her words sink in. But it also caused something else. It caused us to ask why. Why do humans survive when others do not? What makes them different? Thelvos gestured, and the holographic display behind her came to life. Images of the Starward Dream's crew, working together, training together, surviving together. The answer is not simple biology. It is not that humans are stronger or smarter or luckier than us. The answer is that humans have learned, through millions of years of evolution on one of the most dangerous planets in the known galaxy, how to face disaster and survive. And that knowledge can be shared. The crew of the Starward Dream has spent the past year developing a training program based on human survival techniques. We have tested it on ourselves, on other ships, on crews of every species in the coalition, and the results are remarkable. New statistics appeared on the display. Ships that complete our training program show survival rate improvements of 250%, not as high as ships with human crew members but close, and available to everyone. The council chamber erupted in murmurs. Thelvos waited for quiet before continuing. We are not here to sell you anything. This training program will be made available free of charge to any ship in the coalition that wants it, because survival should not be a commodity. It should be a right. She turned to Marcus, who had been standing quietly at the side of the stage. This would not have been possible without one human. Marcus Chen came to us as a maintenance engineer. He became our teacher, our friend, and our family. He showed us that humanity is not just a species. It is a way of thinking, a way of being, and it is something we can all share. The applause that followed was thunderous. Marcus stood awkwardly in the spotlight, not sure what to do with his hands. Public speaking had never been his strength. But Thelvos was not done. The galaxy has spent generations thinking of humans as newcomers, a young species, barely out of their home system. We looked at them and saw primitives, children who had stumbled onto the galactic stage by accident. We were wrong. Humans are survivors. They come from a world of fire and ice, of quakes and storms, of predators and plagues. Every human alive today is descended from an unbroken line of ancestors who faced death and won. That is their heritage. That is their gift. And now, through people like Marcus Chen, that gift can be ours as well. After the speech, Marcus found himself surrounded by delegates and reporters all wanting to speak with him. He answered their questions as best he could, trying to explain what seemed so natural to him. Trust your instincts. Don't give up. Work together. Keep going even when things look impossible. Finally, Thelvos rescued him, guiding him away from the crowd to a quiet observation deck overlooking the stars. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Strange," he admitted. "A year ago I was just a guy who fixed engines. Now I'm some kind of symbol." "You are more than that. You changed things, Marcus. Not just for our crew, but for the entire galaxy." He shook his head. "I didn't do anything special. I just did what any human would do." Thelvos made the sound that was her species' equivalent of laughter. "And that is exactly what is special about you. You don't see it because for you, it is normal. But for the rest of us, what you do is extraordinary." They stood in silence for a moment, watching the stars. Out there somewhere was Earth, the little blue planet where 8 billion more humans lived, most of them unaware that their basic nature was considered remarkable by galactic standards. "What happens now?" Marcus asked. "Now we go back to work. There are routes to run and cargo to deliver. Life goes on." Thelvos turned to face him. "But I hope you will stay with us. You are still my partner after all." Marcus smiled. "I'm not going anywhere. The Starward Dream is home." They made their way back to the docking bay where their ship waited. The crew was already there, preparing for departure. Trix was arguing with a supply vendor about the quality of the provisions. Kelmer was running through the pre-flight checklist. Everything was normal, and yet everything had changed. As Marcus walked up the boarding ramp, he paused and looked back at the station. Thousands of ships were docked here, crewed by hundreds of species, all of them working and trading and living together. It was not a perfect galaxy. There was still danger, still conflict, still people who would rather destroy than cooperate. But there was also hope. Hope in the form of ideas spreading from ship to ship. Hope in the form of crews learning to trust their instincts and each other. Hope in the form of survivors teaching others how to survive. Maybe that was what being human really meant. Not just surviving, but helping others survive too. Lifting each other up. Facing the darkness together. Marcus Chen, maintenance engineer and accidental teacher, walked aboard the Starward Dream and prepared for the next adventure. Whatever the galaxy threw at them, they would handle it. After all, they had learned from the best. They had learned from a human.